Iranian media is reporting one of the country's nuclear scientists has been shot dead in the capital, Tehran. 35-year-old Dariush Rezai was targeted outside his home by a gunman on a motorbike, and he's the third nuclear physicist to be killed in Iran in the last 2 years. Well, let's discuss this with Kian Mokhtari, a political commentator live in Tehran for us. Mr. Mokhtari, thanks very much for being on the program. Now, how involved was this scientist, Dariush Rezai, in Iran's nuclear program?
He was involved at an educational level in Iran's nuclear program, but generally Iranian universities pool their resources. It's one big program. So the depth of his involvement is at educational level.
Iran now is blaming Israel's Mossad for last year's killing. Will they say the same now, given the involvement you say is just academic? So will they say the same, and do you agree?
Well, Iran has just carried out an operation against a Zionist-backed militia group in Kurdistan, Pajak, which has hurt them really, very badly. And Iran has just taken over 3 of their bases. So it was to be expected. But whether it's going to in any way impede the Iranian nuclear program, I don't believe that is the case, because knowledge is something you can't kill. This is something that the enemies of Iran will have to learn by trial. We have a massive pool of very talented scientists who will be able to carry on in all fields: aerospace, nuclear science, agriculture, anything, you name it.
Okay, well, an intelligence report claimed this week that President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad wants to forge ahead openly with developing nuclear weapons. What's your view on that?
Sorry, I didn't get the last bit of that question.
Right, the report that the President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, he wants to go ahead openly with developing nuclear weapons. What do you think?
Well, the IAEA has not come up with a single speck of evidence that Iran has deviated from its peaceful nuclear activities. It is a nuclear energy program, given the sheer appetite of the East and the West for energy resources of Iran. Once Iran's energy resources have finished, we have to look to the future. Are we going to be dependent for our fuel rods on the West or the East? Are we going to chance it or not? And we've decided not to do so. But there is a point I'd like to raise, and that is the fact that Mr. President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad did warn that the Iranian intelligence minister was not perhaps the right man for the job a few months ago, but his decision was overturned by the leader, and I think that perhaps the attack today goes some way in proving Mr. Ahmadinejad's point about Mr. Haydar Moslahi.
Okay, well, just going back to the latest killing of a scientist. Now, whoever is behind the murder, surely they can't hope to stop Iran's entire nuclear program just by killing scientists one by one.
Well, as I said, Iran has managed, since the victory of the Islamic Revolution, to create a huge pool of scientists in all fields: agriculture, in terms of mechanics, in terms of science, space science, aerospace, and nuclear technology. And this was perhaps just another shot across the bow for Iran to watch its step and to refrain from whatever it is that everybody else in the West happens to think that Iran is up to. But I repeat this, I would, as a journalist who is deeply opposed to nuclear weapons, if IAEA comes up with one iota of evidence that Iran is pursuing a nuclear weapons program, I'll be the first in line to condone it, to condemn it. But I'm afraid IAEA has not come up with this, and what we've had from the United States so far has been a lot of, quite frankly, questionable evidence about Iran's nuclear energy program.
Okay, just very briefly, how big is the level of public support in Iran for the nuclear program?
It is very deep. I'll take you back to Iran's oil nationalization program, which was back in 1953. Iranians do feel that with the sheer sale of the resources, of the fossil fuel resources of Iran, we only have a few decades left worth of income. But worse than that, we only have a short time left to come up with renewable energy alternatives. Now, work is being carried out on all fields, on all green energies in Iran, and a large amount of our budget has been allocated to this. But nuclear energy is part of renewable energies, and we have to also put in the work to make sure that in the future we are not dependent on the Western or the Eastern powers.
All right, thank you very much for your insight there. Kian Mokhtari, political commentator, talking to us live from Tehran.